A small favor becomes a hook when gratitude is treated like permanent access. The practical test is whether the favor can survive a later no without turning into an invoice. They help with something small and generous. Days later, an unrelated request appears, and refusing it is framed as forgetting everything they have done. The mechanism has 4 parts: a favor, a delayed reminder, an unrelated request, and an ungrateful label when you hesitate. The problem is not reciprocity itself. Healthy reciprocity stays voluntary and flexible. Pressure begins when the terms appear only after your freedom becomes inconvenient. Psychologically, the urge to repay kindness can bypass whether the new request is fair, related, or something you ever agreed to exchange. Gratitude is then recruited to decide a request that should be judged on its own merits. Maybe they covered a ride, then use that favor to demand access to private information that was never part of the deal. Maybe they helped with one task, then call you ungrateful when you decline a completely different commitment. The clean distinction is disclosed obligation versus hidden obligation. A loan or exchange can be fair when both people know the terms before accepting it. A surprise emotional invoice cannot claim the same consent. The useful sentence is, "I appreciate what you did. That does not change my answer to this request." Say it without insulting the favor. Then watch whether appreciation is allowed to coexist with a no, or whether the old kindness keeps returning as leverage. Do not let gratitude sign a contract that was never disclosed. Healthy reciprocity is flexible and mutual. People help each other over time without attaching an invisible price tag to every gesture. The relationship can survive uneven moments because generosity is not being tracked as leverage. Hidden debt works differently. The terms appear only when you refuse the later request. What looked like kindness becomes evidence that you owe access, agreement, time, secrecy, money, or loyalty. The new request may be completely unrelated to the original favor. That is important. Gratitude for a ride does not create consent to share private information. Help with a task does not purchase control over a future decision. Watch for the word after. After everything I have done for you can collapse a whole relationship into an invoice. It asks you to repay the emotional total without naming a fair or agreed exchange. A clean response can hold both truths. You can appreciate the favor and refuse the request. Gratitude is real. The boundary is also real. One does not cancel the other. If you genuinely want to reciprocate, choose a form you freely agree to. Return help, pay a clear cost, or offer something appropriate. Do not let the other person define repayment after the fact through guilt. The reaction tells you whether the favor was a gift or an investment in control. Disappointment is possible in either case. Retaliation, public shaming, or repeated debt reminders expose a different motive. This pattern can begin with tiny favors because small gifts lower resistance. You do not need to fear generosity. You only need to notice when generosity becomes a reason your future no is treated as betrayal. Clear agreements protect both people. If the help has conditions, those conditions should be disclosed before acceptance. A hidden condition introduced later is not mutual reciprocity. It is rewritten consent. The final standard is freedom. Real generosity may strengthen connection, but it does not make the recipient less entitled to choose. A gift that cannot survive autonomy was never emotionally free. Timing can reveal the hook. A favor may sit quietly until you are tired, vulnerable, or facing a decision the other person wants to influence. The delayed reminder makes the pressure look accidental even when it serves a convenient purpose. Some people keep the debt vague. They never say what you owe, so you cannot repay it cleanly. The obligation stays open, ready to be used against whatever boundary appears next. You can ask for terms before accepting major help. Is this a gift, a loan, or an exchange? A clear answer protects generosity from future resentment and protects you from accepting an agreement you cannot see. If the answer changes later, return to the original terms. I accepted this as help, not as an agreement to this new request. That sentence keeps the conversation anchored to what was actually offered. Notice whether gratitude is ever allowed to be complete. In a healthy relationship, appreciation lands. In a debt pattern, no amount of thanks is enough because the real goal is not appreciation. It is continuing leverage. This can happen in families, friendships, dating, and work. The details change, but the sequence stays recognizable. Generosity first, hidden terms later, then shame when you ask where the agreement came from. Do not rush to prove you are a good person. Good people are still allowed to decline unrelated requests. Your character is not measured by how easily a favor can be converted into access. The cleanest takeaway is simple. Thank the kindness, name the current request separately, and decide it on its own merits. A fair relationship can keep those two columns separate. If you discover that you misunderstood the original terms, you can correct that fairly. Repay the agreed cost or discuss a reasonable solution. What you do not owe is unlimited compliance because the agreement was never made clear. Be cautious when the favor is offered faster than you can understand the conditions. Urgent generosity can be sincere, but it can also make refusal harder later because accepting happened before informed choice. The healthiest ending is not suspicion. It is cleaner consent. Help can stay generous, gratitude can stay warm, and future decisions can still be made separately when expectations are named honestly. A visible price is easier to evaluate than an emotional one. If someone pays for dinner and expects half back, that can be discussed. If the payment later becomes a claim on your time, privacy, or loyalty, the exchange has changed categories. Public generosity can intensify the hook. When other people saw the favor, refusing the later request may feel like risking your reputation as well as the relationship. Return to the original terms rather than performing gratitude for the audience. Some hidden debts are kept intentionally impossible to repay. Any favor you return is called too small, and any boundary proves you still do not appreciate enough. An obligation with no finish line is useful as leverage precisely because it never closes. Culture and family tradition can shape expectations around reciprocity. That context deserves respect, but expectations are still healthier when they can be named. Tradition should not require one person to discover the cost only after saying no. Workplace favors need the same clarity. Covering one shift does not automatically purchase future overtime, silence about misconduct, or agreement in a meeting. Professional reciprocity should remain tied to specific, reasonable exchanges. Romantic gestures can create pressure when expense is treated as consent. A gift, trip, or elaborate date does not purchase physical access, exclusivity, forgiveness, or a decision the other person never agreed to trade. Vulnerability increases the need for disclosed terms. When someone offers housing, money, transportation, or emergency help, the recipient may have little room to refuse. That makes clarity before acceptance more important, not less. You can close a legitimate debt without accepting a hidden one. Return the borrowed item, repay the stated amount, or fulfill the agreed favor. Then name that the separate request still needs a separate answer. Listen for moral compression. A complicated situation is reduced to one accusation. After all I did, a good friend would, family helps family. The label pressures identity, so the current request no longer has to defend itself. A neutral pause can reveal whether urgency is part of the mechanism. Say you will think about the request and answer tomorrow. A fair exchange usually survives time. Hidden pressure often intensifies when immediate compliance is removed. If you accepted help while believing it was unconditional, say that plainly. I understood this as a gift. If you meant a loan or exchange, we need to discuss fair terms rather than attaching a different request after the fact. Repair is possible when hidden expectations are admitted. Someone can say they hoped you would reciprocate, recognize that they never asked, and accept your freedom to choose. The issue is not having a hope. It is enforcing an undisclosed contract through guilt. The strongest metric is whether both people can remain generous and autonomous. Reciprocity should strengthen trust because it is chosen. Once it depends on shame, secrecy, or permanent access, the relationship is no longer exchanging care on equal terms. Before accepting a large favor, ask the boring question early. What does this mean to you, and is anything expected later? A clear conversation may feel less romantic, but it protects both generosity and trust from a future argument about invisible terms. The goal is not suspicion toward generosity. It is cleaner consent, where help can stay warm and every later choice still belongs to the person making it. If this helped, save it and subscribe for sharper psychology patterns without the noise.